1 second. And there we go. Look at that. That was almost perfect. It was almost perfect. I don't know why it freaked out right at the end. Hi, good morning. How are you? Happy Friday to you. I don't know why I'm doing wave jazz voice, but who cares? I think it's because of the echo in this place. I think I'm going to have to move the show into the bedroom or maybe even the closet at this. I'm at a comedy condo. It happens. I think I'm going to have to move that in there so that it's not as reflective. Seems very, but hi, good morning, welcome, hello, everybody. I am very red, sorry, the lighting in here is such that, let's see if I could turn this down a little bit. Yeah, it's still, I don't know why it's overcompensating. It's the ceiling light, it has got a glow to it or something. It's very strange. I know, I'll bring up the Logitech control panel for the camera and then just start messing with it and ruin everything. How about that? Yes, I did suggest we take this to the bedroom. Big hair, don't care, it's true. I showed up at radio this morning and to do, sorry, check Twitch. Okay. Hopefully Twitch is okay. Twitch, what's happening? What's going on? Log in. Okay. Hold on. And then I gotta check in. Is it just not on? Hold on 1 second. Let me go back to the restream dashboard. It says it seems like Twitch is streaming okay. We think, hopefully. This Logitech thing is opening and being weird. Not helping. All right, I'll fix it between. I'll work on it during when I'm not on the air. How about that? Hello, good morning. Hello, lovely. Hello, Sue. Good to see you. Thank you for jumping in. Good to see you. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Hello. Twitch is working. Excellent. Okay. What a morning I've had. So I did radio this morning to do press for my stand-up shows tonight, 8 and 10 o'clock tonight and tomorrow night at the Laugh Factory in San Diego, 7 o'clock on Sunday, because we take back one show to honor the Hebrew God whose staff this is. So I was just hiding the fact he fell asleep at a tanning bed, right? It wouldn't have tanned my teeth and my eyes though. Everything has got a pink hue to it. I think it's compensating for the amount of white in the background or something. If I'm back a little bit, it's not too bad. It's the camera. Why? It's just being weird. All right. So I had, yeah, just like regular, morning radio as comics and musicians are wont to do when they're out on the road. And, there was a minor panic attack when I showed up because I don't look like they expect. So it's a rock station, said like, oh my God, who did we forget to book? They didn't realize it was me. So there was a little bit of like, we have a comedian booked this morning. And they're like, oh, it's just funny. It was just an odd thing where they would just react to it. And that was as I was getting into my Uber, which is the proper pronunciation, Uber. And you're supposed to say Uber because there's 2 dots over the U, Uber. So I'm going to say Uber from now on. Also, I was misgendered this morning, lovingly, as I was getting into my Uber by a woman who called me ma'am, sir. Ma'am, sir? Ma'am, sir, can I, ma'am, sir? Ma'am, sir, way to cover your bases. I mean, this is where we've gotten where people are so afraid to offend, they'll just call you all of it. There should be like Cherokee, which is she, her, he, him, Cherokee, that you just call everybody, just in case you don't know their pronouns. People do realize that pronouns are the words that people use for you when they don't know who you are. The fact that someone's using pronouns for you is often not a sign of respect because they haven't bothered to learn who you are, nor should they necessarily. It's always funny to me. Yeah, so I got a lot of there was a lot of hair talk on the radio this morning, as there tends to be. Cherokee, it's a Hebrew pronoun. Did you know that yo, it was meant to be a non-gendered pronoun? Hey yo, just calling somebody a yo, instead of dude, instead of babe, whatever. Yo is just supposed to be a non-gendered version of dude, lady, babe, guy, whatever. Mamser. Yes, Sir Mamser. Oh, this is true. And yes, that is in the rainbow suspenders in that picture I posted is my friend Kurt, who just passed away. It's funny that I posted that picture with him in it, and I was gonna just life got away from me. I was busy doing some stuff, but I wanted to post that, and then I was gonna come back and put an addendum on the bottom of it and say that's Kurt, my friend, and so many people reacted to his rainbow suspenders, and the fact that he would later come out as gay is just kind of a weird twist of fate. And I'm pretty sure those are my rainbow suspenders. He just wore them at my birthday party. Maybe even as a joke, because I had rainbow suspenders. Yeah, because of Mork for Mork, which I had seen at my grandmother's house. Yes, the umlaut is the two dots over the U for Uber. Yes, I'm red-faced. I get it. Yes, if I lean back, it's not so bad. It's apparently maybe it's the compensatory lighting on this thing. Hold on one second. Maybe if I move these back, just enjoy the look of the show here. Is that it? It's a little better. Okay, fine. I'm not afraid. There you go. Hopefully that's a little more blue. Hold on. There's a lot of, I think there's probably a lot of orange in these lights. So I'll turn up some of the blue in them, and maybe that'll do it. Yeah, that's a little better. There we go. Thanks. And can everybody calm down now? Good. All right. Excuse me, Danzig has shorter hair than this. I have much longer hair than, I'll have you know. I get it. Yes, Danzig, Gene Simmons. We get it. Yes, we've covered all this before. Uber. By the way, this is my eye line when I'm looking at the chat room. So when I'm talking to you guys, that's where I'm looking. Bring you outside. I can't. It's like a giant flight of stairs. There's no elevator, and it would also let people know where I'm staying, which is insane. No. 2,000 mules coming soon. It's a sweaty, dry. Sweaty. I think it's just making me a little shiny in here, and I have lotion on my face. So, as you know, I mean, come on. All right, kimchi. I've only been growing it out for 2 years. Yeah, maybe 70s Gene. If I had a top knot, that'd be good. Four Seasons next to the dildo shop? No, dildo shop next to the Four Seasons, but thank you for asking. Uh-oh. Trouble amiss in the area. Careful, the audio is sketchy. Audio's cracking up a tiny bit. Okay. It's my, hold on. Let me switch mics, just in case. Usually these, one gets weird. Da-da-da-da-da-da. All five. Thank you so much. Okay, hopefully hopefully this is clean and good. And okay, cool. Thanks. I love it. Like, there's always a delay when people are, you know, coming back to like, you sound fine, you sound fine, you sound fine, you sound fine. And then there's a row of like, it's awful. I can't hear anything. What's wrong? I have learned over the years to not react too quickly. Let's see. She married Mark Harmon. Oh, Pam Dauber? Yeah. I'm quite quiet. Why am I quite quiet? Why would I be quite quiet? Quiet. Let me check on here. Checking the sound from an external audio. Turning it up so it sounds okay. All right. Hopefully that improves it a little bit, makes it a little louder. And then, let's see, I could take this guy. Turn this up a touch. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check your booty. Check your booty. Ah, check, check, check. Check, check, check. There we go. Is that a little better? Audio's fine. Excellent. Okay, cool. All right, just make it, all right. And by the way, hi, how are you? Good. Happy Friday. So yeah, I've got 2 shows tonight. We're gonna do the afternoon show like normal. Don't worry, I'm gonna figure out all the extra stuff. And then I have an 8 o'clock and a 10 o'clock show tonight. So I'm going to be exhausted tomorrow for the radio show. And then I'm going to be in a coma in the afternoon. And then I'm gonna do 2 more shows tomorrow night. And then I'm going to sleep in Sunday. And then I'm gonna do a show on Sunday. And then I'm gonna get up at butt knuckle in the morning and fly back to Vegas and be home in time to do the morning show on Monday. How do you like that? Yeah, crazy 3-day turnaround. Am I streaming the shows? I don't know if they'll let me. I will let you know, Doc Spano. I will be recording them. I don't think I'll be able to stream them. Fingers crossed. So I'm finding that out today. At the very least, I should be getting a copy of the shows from them, if not my own recording of it, because I've got a. I should get a job. Yeah, I need to do more than, if you include radio, 5 shows in a day. Take my B vitamins is good. Hardest working long hair in the business. That's true. Thank you, Ethan. I appreciate that. If I'm in a coma on Monday and decide not to do a show, Ethan gave me permission. Appreciate it. How was the Norseman? It was great. We talked about it the day after. It had a lot of parallels to the Revenant visually. It was, you can go back and watch that Wednesday morning show. We went and saw it Tuesday. Do a fly on a charter jet? Not all the time. No, most of the time, just I flew Spirit. Because here's the thing, and this is, I've always my whole life done what I fly what I call punk first class, and this is before like you could bring an iPad and there were restaurants in airports. That I would always just pack my own food, get a beverage in the airport, pack my own entertainment, either in a like a laptop usually, or with a movie loaded on it, and between that and the fact that I'm not, I don't take up 2 seats. I'm svelte, so I could always, especially back in the day, I was really skinny. Basically like real first class was just coach for heavy set people. That was the idea back then, and so I always would just, like, my experience flying was like first class. I just brought all my own stuff, right? I just, made up my own first class experience. So I called it punk first class. I'd always fly punk first class. And I still do to this day. Like, I have my iPad, it has a movie on it. I download some YouTube videos, like I was watching instructional videos on using Blender, which is a 3D sculpting and like editing program, and then some stuff on learning the Unreal Engine, which I'm doing. Do I pump iron? I do lift weights, if that's what you mean. Yes. My hair needs its own seat. Yeah, like Dolly Parton. It comes in crates, follows me around. And so, like, just with those things, I have a great experience flying, no matter where I am. Nerd Halen is definitely coming to New York, probably this fall. We're working on it now. That's the way to look at it. Rafael Moreno, member 12 months. Welcome to Zoltan. Love Hal's unbrushed hair or whatever hairstyle. Thank you. Or wardrobe he chooses next. Thanks so much. Hal, my hair would like to say something. This is true. Ever coming to Arkansas? I would love to. Your Kansas, our Kansas, all of them. All the Kansases. Let's see. I want to check something real quick and see if this will work. And then we go to, let's check our trends this morning. Hey, look at that. It worked. It kind of works. All right. Not too bad. It's Troubled Waters. Troubled Waters. Harry Styles has an album, so that's the #1 trending one. It has nothing to do with, it wasn't promoted or anything. It just says music and live, so yeah. BuzzFeed. Halsey call out people who say they look unhealthy via a new TikTok. They look fine. Context, long candid about her health. She recently explained how things changed following her pregnancy compared to her child. Ender last year, I was hospitalized for anaphylaxis a few times. Yikes. Well, that's why people are worried. Halsey, you look sick. Is she okay? Put some meat on those bones. She's too thin. Looks unhealthy. Well, that's because you've been in the hospital and you've been sick. So people are going to err on that side. And by the way, if you're not heavy set in the United States, like for years, people were calling me emaciated, and I was pretty normal because of what they're used to seeing. Man, travel in the South. You walk around LA, you look totally normal, and then go to Texas, and everybody goes like, "Man, you need to put some meat on those bones." Stormy is trending. Let's see. Megan legal high finding. Okay, Stormy Daniels should have ended it, admitting to grabbing vaginas even more so. Yeah, this is all the stuff they're talking about. Don Winslow. Trump, Stormy Daniels, walk free. I like. Coming to Justice Department January 6th. I see. He just has no faith. Homie obstruction. Again, these are the Trump Stormy Daniels thing, like walk free. He's not going to end up going to jail for that. Whatever. Yeah. Oh, I see. Trump never offered to buy me a horse, but then again, he isn't a real billionaire. Oh, that's because Elon Musk, this woman says he exposed himself to her on a plane. Pay Stormy Daniels. Let's see. To sexual by paying a $250,000 for sexual misconduct claim, a lot like Trump. I mean, a lot of these things are going to settle. Whether they're true or not, that's always the problem with the settlements these days. Yeah. Oh, God. It's back to tax again. Yeah, he tweeted that yesterday. Ronnie Jackson has a book coming out in July. Tome dedicated to the time he served as Trump's doctor. As part of a description is interesting. He was always asking me about things on TV. What was going on from Iran to Stormy Daniels? Oops. She said anything about how tiny everything was. Your representative's mistresses will always have access to safe abortions. Yike. Yeah, okay, so it's related to this thing. The company paid $250,000 for it. It didn't work. I think what people are going to learn is that there is no, there's no point where an NDA about those kind of things is going to work anymore. So either suck it up and admit you did some wrong, or stop doing that. do not grope people unless they are begging you to. I think that's the easiest thing, right? How difficult is that? And if they're not interested, work on yourself, right? Pay attention to us. I'm trying, mighty. I'm reading. Hot mic buzzing? I'm sorry. It is? It's buzzing for some people. It's not for others. Robert. I'm looking at the chat. I can't see the chat. Is the thing is there. Grope me. It's better? Okay. Maybe it's just when I look around. It's a ground hum. It shouldn't be. Maybe it's just the wire. All right, hold on one second. Let me do this real quick. I'm going to switch to the Mac Pro microphone. Hopefully that will take it out. I'm just trying. Hopefully it will be a little boomier. Better? Okay. Yeah, that worked? Okay, cool. It's hollow. Yeah, it's the room. So I was trying to avoid that. Oh, there's a buzz that gets I see. So it was probably reacting to the lights. Right. Good to know. Needed to know this for the show in the afternoon. That's where we try this stuff out, is in the morning. Why is Me Too trending other than the fact that, you know, Elon Musk and, right, okay. Elon Musk is only having his Me Too moment because he recently said he's Republican, just like Harvey Weinstein, Al Franken, and Eric Schneiderman. What? Oh, I see. Right, because those people weren't in something. I was being to try to protect the internet so much. What do they get out of it? Yeah, well, apparently Elon Musk had an affair with Amber Heard as well. You know, there's a lot of this. You actually were telling the truth. I do that a lot, yet people are always surprised. Right. Yeah, I mean, that's always the problem with this, is that, like, when the glomming on of this actually, yeah, undermine that. We're so lucky Elon Musk can't run for president. Yeah, Joy, I mentioned that, by the way. Somebody was saying, you don't think he's going to run, you people are nuts. And I'm like, he can't? Sorry? Yeah, I don't care who anybody sleeps with either, per se, except when, you know, it seems to be an act of manipulation around this. Tesla autopilot feature accelerated on its own, causing crash. There's going to be a lot of these like anti-Musk stories because he basically called out to him. To be clear, I'm spending, quote, less than 5%, but actually of my time on Twitter acquisition. It ain't rocket science. Yesterday was giga taxes. Today is Starbase. Tesla is on my mind 24/7. So maybe it seemed like we're doing. Again, get off there. And the stock had to stay at, well, I mean, this is the story. The stock had to stay at 740 for him to get the cash that he needed to buy Twitter, because he had leveraged it. And it had to hold above 740. It's at 659 as of yesterday. And like, I know Christopher Boozy wants to say this, but the drop in Tesla's stock price has very little to do with people's opinions about Elon Musk or any of that shit. Stocks were overvalued. A bunch of people in the world market are taking money out of the stock market because they're shitting the bed in every other country. I honestly, like, don't read into like, these stocks are crashing because of this. It's all going down because it was all seen as overvalued. And at the same time, European, like, I posted this yesterday. See if I can, oh, wait, hold on. Why is that live? Hold on, this guy. Why did I not go to it? There we go. See this? Back to life. That's why that was. So this is the stock is at 659.94. Everybody's been talking about the. Everybody's been talking about the stock going down as if it's indicative somehow of of him buying Twitter. It has nothing to do with any of it. The stock was overvalued to begin with. People are taking money out because they need it to spend it, because as bad as inflation is here, and it's really not inflation, it's supply shock, it's genuinely hitting markets like Turkey and China and other places because of how much currency they have in circulation, and they're just pulling everything out of everywhere. Yes, everything, yes. Apple's undervalued, I agree. Now, though, because it's gone down. That said, hold on, I'm going to move this out of the way. That said, and I want to make sure that, it stays on Safari. Okay. There's a lot of people reading way more into this than there is, And a lot of people are saying this. Tesla's now lost more than a third of its value since Musk made his vanity bid for Twitter. Almost no effect. Seriously. What was Kinky's question? I missed it as it went by. Oh, why should any company be worth more than it was in 2019? Oh, because a bunch of companies actually benefited from the shift in the country during lockdowns and people ordering things at home or streaming things at home and not going out. So it was at the expense of other companies, but a lot of them did flourish. And then some of those things like Amazon, like Walmart's delivery service, like Postmates and other companies like that, people became dependent on them during lockdown and now it's normalized to a part of their life a percentage higher than they would have in their regular life before. So they added a huge customer base, and then they when that customer base receded, it added enough new people to that customer base, the volume. That's what did it. Well, Amazon added more trucks. I forget what the number was. We looked at it a while back, but the number of trucks and drivers and shipment centers, they opened up fulfillment centers like friggin' crazy. They used a huge portion of the money that was coming in, knowing it wasn't going to last, on expansion. Bitcoin crashing may have had some effect. People had to cash out of Tesla to cover their margin. Yeah, no question. The Bitcoin shitting the bed is a huge part of the flexible part of the market. None of this has anything to do with the value of the actual companies or any of that shit. All this day trading nonsense. Yeah, there's Dean. Since Elon Musk became a right-wing troll, we've seen Tesla stock fall from 1,100 share to the 659 drop. The whole stock market's coming down. I know where people are going with this, but it's not indicative of that. We saw this one already. This has been in my trends for a bit. More than 950 Ukrainian fighters have left Mariupol steelworks, according to Russia's defense ministry. Everybody bugged out. They held them there as long as they could, and they did great. Considering they were completely surrounded. And the Ukrainians are going to take it back. Tucker Carlson problems. This is a fascinating story. Tucker Carlson and his wife were looking to get their son a leg up in his college application to Georgetown University when they turned to a well-connected Washington friend who had an even better connected father. I realize you don't really know Buckley, Susie Carlson wrote via email in 2014 to Hunter Biden, a Georgetown graduate and the son of the then vice president. Maybe you could meet or speak to him, and he could send you a brief resume with his interests and grades attached. Tucker offered that his son was a good squash player and an excellent fly fisherman, How's his golf game? And she stepped on the ball. He loves Washington for all the right reasons, I think. Heretic. And really wants to go to school there. When Biden agreed to write a letter of recommendation to Susie Garland, he added, he praised, Tucker and I have great respect and admiration for you always. Always. Always should have been in air quotes, I suppose. The Carlsons' past entreaties to Biden may come as a surprise to many present-day viewers of Tucker Carlson Tonight, the highly rated primetime talk show. The interactions reveal the extent to which the Carlsons was willing to turn on a former associate as he thrives in a hyper-partisan media world in which conservatives have made Biden a prime target for attack during his father's presidency. When your dad is president, you get superpowers, Carlson said in October 21 during a segment about Biden pursuing a new career as an artist. Maybe Hunter Biden will invent a new vaccine next we'll be required to take. Who knows? You never know. The sky's the limit when your dad is in power. I guess a theory that never applied to Ivanka, Don Jr., Jared, nobody? Anyway, so a bunch of people making Tucker Carlson's. Like, a lot of these didn't turn out to be jokes. They're just kind of like poking at him. Tucker Carlson problems. He doesn't appreciate irony. Like, AOC gave him a 3rd-degree burn. Some of these are kind of like, I don't know. They seem like bank shot jokes. With a hashtag like that. You guys saw mine, right? I think mine was in there. There you go. Mine was... when your forehead butt crack farts during a quiet dinner with Matt Gaetz' underage date and a woman he never actually said was your wife. Put some time in, folks. So, COVID-19, okay, and then they seized a bunch of guns and stuff like that, and yada yada. This is a series of their red flag law in New York. This dude, I guess he was making road rage threats, and then so they checked out his house, and look what he's got. He's got these breakaway gun kits that you can assemble yourself, and then just massive amounts of ammo. What the hell? And a ghost gun and 2 assault rifles from a Grand Island man under the state's new enhanced red flag laws after he allegedly brandished a weapon during a road rage incident Tuesday on the I-90. Victor G. Freeman was arrested at 8 a.m. following the incident in Grand Island through a temporary extreme risk protection order. That's basically legally going to a judge and saying, this asshole is stalking society from a legal standpoint. Makes sense. It's a good way to go. What are you doing? What is this? What kind of fucking... these are good Call of Duty loadouts. Anything at least a flashlight mount and a laser mount. Good Lord. Grow the fuck up. Henry Golding. Elon Gate. Oh, God. Tesla stock prices, we basically saw this, it's all stacked up. I did an interview on the JV Club with Janet Varney. That was fun. They needed pictures of me for that. This is so I sent her this one. Yes, I used to always part my hair in the middle. It was super fun. Yeah, it was great. So if you want to check that out, I tweeted out the interview. But yeah, so those are our baseline trends. Let me see real quick if I can hop over to here, and then let's take a look at Raw Story this morning just for the fun of it. Just see what they've got news-wise. Good Lord. Oh, and this shit. Okay, so look at this article. Florida deputy charged for tasing biker while pumping gas, resulting in him being cooked alive. Look at the picture. Look at the headline. So they just drove by and tased a dude randomly? Is that what happened? And they caught him on fire? Do you think they just did it to him and nobody else was harmed? Do you think it wasn't part of the altercation? Let's see if this breaks down exactly as this title goes. Florida, hold on. All right, get out of here. Florida deputy charged with, get out of here. There's like, here you go. They put that thing near the edge. Okay. Florida deputy charged for tasing biker while pumping gas, resulting in him being cooked alive. He's still alive, by the way. Spoiler alert. On Thursday, the Daily Beast reported that a Florida deputy has been charged with misdemeanor culpable negligence. After, see, I would think he would be charged with abject murder because clearly he tased a guy who was a suspect who was pumping gas. It was just a suspect who was pumping gas. He was just suspected of pumping gas, resulting in an explosion that caused third-degree burns to 75% of the suspect's body. Is that how it went down? Shall we? Okay, here we go. Jean Luis Barreto Baerga, 26, has been in the hospital and undergone 6 surgeries since the February 27 incident, in which his attorney says he was literally cooked alive. He was not literally cooked alive. He's alive now. Reported Justin Baragana. Cops were attempting to arrest Barreto, a motorcyclist they said was riding recklessly and had pointed a gun at other motorists. Barreto's lawyer, Mark Najami, insists his client hadn't committed a crime, has no criminal history, and continues to undergo excruciating surgeries in order to save his life, which is what his attorney would say. By the way, the dude with the guns that was put on the TRO from the state of New York, no criminal history. Just brandishing gun in traffic, and has a bunch of guns at his house in a half-type manifesto. So deputies soon descended on the location, and one struggled to handcuff a resistant Barreto. Why are they struggling? Why is it hard to handcuff someone? Why are they struggling? Don't struggle with the police if they're trying to handcuff you. If you're at the point where they're handcuffing you, you move into the next phase. You are past the point of they're going to let you go. If you're struggling with them, that's when you're going to get tased. I don't understand that part. As someone who's been in handcuffs, both by choice and against my choice at 2 different times in my life, I don't get, once they're cuffing you, it's game over. You move into a different path for your day. Lopez said, in the fracas, there was a fracas. That's what Barreto's dirt bike got knocked over and gas started spilling out of the tank, he continued. That's when Osceola County Deputy Christopher Cafinas tried to take Barreto into custody by tasing him, which didn't have the desired effect. According to Lopez, the second deputy then yelled at Barreto, "You're about to get tased again, dude," adding that Crawford called out for some reason to cut the flow of fuel to the nearby pumps. The explosion happened immediately after his pronouncement. According to the department, one deputy immediately tried to douse the flames with a fire extinguisher, and another poured a bottle of Gatorade on Crawford's legs to stop the fire. Multiple deputies sustained minor burns themselves. Crawford is the deputy charged in the incident. He's the guy who, I guess, fired the... he's the guy who called for someone to cut the flow of fuel to them before it happened. There were multiple guys there. This guy's fighting with cops while he gets cuffed. His bike gets knocked over. Gas spills. Somebody tries to tase him, and it catches fire. It sounds like they roasted him on purpose, the way this is written. It's like dickish, and it undermines the entire conversation about police brutality and stuff like this. This is not in that category at all. These guys weren't intending to set fire to this dude or themselves. All-white Virginia School Board poised to restore names of Confederate generals to schools. Of course, because they're how adorable. Because if you're going to have a losing team, you might as well have the school named after a loser. Not funny. Critics explain how Madison Cawthorn's dark MAGA revenge declaration could be a threat to public safety. Yeah, no, it already is. You could argue that dark MAGA is going to be it's going to show up in somebody's fucking manifesto. Also, no one is surprised at Ginny Thomas pressuring people to overturn Trump's laws. No shit. She's a lunatic. She's a QAnon. Everything she writes is going to be insane. Hillbilly spoof how the same gang that pushed the big lie in 2020 worked together on the 2019 Kentucky election. Yeah, there's a bunch of like really spooky stuff about McConnell's election in Kentucky. That deserves a deep dive. That's why we were all like, yeah, while you're at it, it's Dork MAGA, by the way. Yeah. Hal looks a bit Florida man, honestly. Thanks very much. I mean, I did play that. You know, that was my character. People die outside scores refuse to leave Ukrainian metro. Yeah, because they don't want to go out into the city because it gets bombed randomly. Iraq's communist poet Muzatar al-Nawab dies at 88. I was today years old when I found out Iraq had a communist poet. Is the poetry written collectively? Does everybody get to pick a word on the refrigerator and just move it around? It's communal poetry. Are there communist limericks? De Blasio's running for Congress. Okay. Good Lord. FBI is not taking the rise of white supremacy seriously. Former undercover agent. Yeah, well, that was the whole issue last year. Remember, we had all these hearings, and we looked at these talking points at the time. Remember me pushing back on the whole, like, the number one domestic terror threat versus the foreign. They're like, we're not worried about Al-Qaeda and ISIS. We're worried about Americans. Like, asshole. Domestic terror threat. There's a distinction between the two. And we did this dozens of times. You remember that stuff, right? The FBI is not part of the problem. Batman versus Super Magoo. Still too many MAGA in the FBI. There's very, like, there's some right-wingers in there, of course, like every organization, but nothing that's going to change the direction of the FBI. That's very overblown, please. That communist limericks, I lost some of my energy. Thank you. So the FBI is not taking it yet. We talked about this. You guys remember that. We talked about this all last year. They were like, this was a talking point amongst the right wing. Like, how dare they, right? How dare they think that regular Americans are a threat? And like, they're not. Those aren't regular Americans. Those are psychotic extremists. They happen to be Americans, but they're trying to bring down the entire country. I mean, it's the same problem I have with Antifa, you know, as a group, or even people who associate themselves directly with it. Like, like the concept of being anti-fascist, awesome. The people, you know, of course, and the people on Twitter who will go like, I'm anti-fascist, or they'll show a World War II soldier and go, they were anti-fascist, and say it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. Anarchists are not Antifa. And there's a bunch of anarchists that pose as or call themselves Antifa. It's not the same thing. It never will be. Anarchy is about the burning down of a system. It is its own version of fascism. So, J. Edgar Hoover was a black man. I just saw it on video. Come on, I didn't know this. Really? What? He was passing. He was at. So J. Edgar Hoover. So, yeah, I'm not buying it. Is Hal in the bathroom? No, yeah, it does look like it. It does look like those are curtains, not shower curtains. There's a. It does have a bathroomy kind of feel to it. The space itself is here. I'll show you. Hold on. It's this living room. There's a little plant. There's the couch. I had to pull the drapes shut. That it's not even bright at all. Like, but I had to pull this guy So, hi, how are you? Yeah, see how big this place is? Like tall. Hi. So, yeah, I'm wearing my Pentaveret shirt again today. It's really comfy and I like it. And I've of course got my toxic waste T-shirts for the shows tonight. I bought multiple, so not bad for a green room, right? There's genealogy out there saying J. Edgar had a black ancestor. Well, that's not surprising at all. Oy vey, what a pain. I'm in San Diego, and I'm in the whale's vagina. Why did that? All right, the bottom part of it didn't. I don't want to knock over the plant. There you go. Better? All right. And it's funny because I feel like I have been for a long time, and maybe I should just do the show this way today because I can. Except it's too boomy in here to do it this way. I have to sit close so that it works. But I've been wanting for a while to do my show standing sometimes. But, you know, most of the places I'm in where I would do it, if I want to be able to see the chat or whatever, I have to be a little closer to it. Otherwise, it just goes by too fast. I mean, it's hard to read anyways, but especially at that size, right? But in general, like, I just like the idea of being able to move around and stuff like that instead of it sitting all the time. But yeah, it is. I need a TED Talk mic. Yeah, just like the headset. Yeah, I have one of those. From the back, you look like Sandra Bullock. Oh, that's sweet. Thanks so much. Take that as a huge. Hal thought you had a clapper. That's right. I am a stand-up guy. This is true. Reading is hard. It's not as difficult as you might think. You just got to practice. Love the t-shirt, thank you. Why does law enforcement handle certain people with kid gloves? Because they don't want them to get out of a massive murder charge by being mistreated. They don't want their civil rights violated so they can get out. That's why. The reason, especially these mass shooters, a lot of them plan these kind of things. So a lot of them might plan either an insanity defense or say that they were abused or try to push the cops to beat them on purpose so that they can say that they had already been declared guilty beforehand. It's impossible for them to get a fair trial, all that kind of stuff. Most of the time, these assholes, if you even act remotely nice to them, they will spill the beans on everything, admit it, and save the victims' families, the courts, and the state a lot of money, time, and grief. That's why. And it, like that whole thing, like Dylan Roof was not taken to fucking Burger King. That whole story, I don't know where they went and got him food. They asked him if he wanted food. They went and they have to feed you because you're in fucking, it's the same reason why we have baby formula at the border. If you're in custody and you have not been found guilty yet, they have to feed you. They went and got Burger King because he was like, is that fine? Will that work for you? And he said, yeah, they went and got food. It was nearby. They didn't pick it up on the fucking way to the stage. Like that whole story got so blown out. But the whole purpose is, I mean, has nobody ever watched a fucking true crime story? Like they talk to you, they want you to just admit it. And one of the ways they do that is either good cop, bad cop. But, a lot of times they just try to be friendly with you and go, okay, tell us what happened. Give us that whole story. If you watch those like long 8-hour interrogations they have of some people, those people are adversarial. It takes a lot of time. And then they try to get it thrown out for a myriad of reasons. But if you just come in, if a fucking Happy Meal can save the state millions of dollars and victims' families from having to watch this asshole pretend they didn't do it, I'm for it. Buy the fucking Happy Meal. What's wrong with you? Right? Yeah, they got 2 for $5. Exactly. That's the point. You don't, and the worst thing you could do
is these guys turn themselves in. That's the other thing. A lot of them plan on they want to be taken alive. They are not resisting arrest like somebody, and that's the sort of the difference crime-wise where we kind of overlap things. Like right now, there was a shooting outside a club in Chicago last night. 2 people were killed and 4 people were injured. I think 4 or 6. And it might have been 8. There might have been an overlap of numbers and then someone perished later. But they call those mass shootings because more people were involved. But we think differently about what a mass shooting is versus gang violence or somebody just opening fire at a party or something. It's a different thing. It's a different thing entirely. Because of why. Impersonal mass shootings is what most of the time what we're talking about when we talk about mass shootings in our society is lone gunman walks into a random place, kills a bunch of people like the Buffalo shooter or the Crumbly or any of these idiots that shoot up a school, right? That's what you usually think of, as opposed to 2 people start a fight at a house party or in a club or something like that, and then it spills onto the street. Somebody's got a gun, and they start shooting, and then somebody shoots at them, and then 4 or 6 people are hit in the crossfire. That is wholly different psychologically, how you handle it, why they go to jail, what the purpose was, how you get a confession, how you get witnesses. That situation is wholly different than somebody who, scribbles in a fucking notepad for months and months planning on doing something, right? These are different. Lone white gunman, the usual scenario. Well, they think of that, but they're the minority. The lone white gunmen, like we see at this thing, are the minority of the mass shootings. And it's partly because we don't make a distinguishment right now in how we talk about it. We used to. We don't anymore. Now a mass shooting is any shooting that involves 3 or more people. And the problem is a mass shooting and what it means is wholly different than a fight that breaks out, or a street beef, or a robbery where somebody just open fires as they're fleeing, or exchanges gunfire with cops and civilians are in between, right? It's just different, right? The Buffalo shooter visited store multiple. Yeah, see, he was a different person, but he was going to be taken alive. He wore body armor. He wanted to be taken alive. He wasn't going to just be shot. He dropped his stuff. He surrendered because that's the law. And we follow that as a society. And they knew that and they take advantage of it. The problem is when they get arrested, they will sometimes clam up and because they want this to be as painful for the families as well who have to go through the trial, drag it out. Like Bundy did. Ted Bundy's a great example. He was just inflicting more pain on the families of the victims by being his own attorney, cross-examining witnesses and stuff like that. He wanted to torture these folks. So if you can avoid that by going, you want a cup of coffee, you want a cigarette, you want some food, whatever, we'll get whatever you need, within reason. We'll get you, you want a hamburger? Go get some Burger King and bring them something. Blah, blah, blah. And they start eating and talking. And then once you get them talking, then you go, okay, you sign this confession, you're done. And now you don't have this stupid Ted Bundy bullshit where he tortures everybody for months. They just go to goddamn jail. Yeah, Ted Bundy was a Republican fundraiser. But, Gacy was a Democratic fundraiser. So it's just, they're power players. They don't care. Epstein hung out with everybody because it protected him. If true, HAL, why is it different for black people? It isn't, Stoner, technically. Most of the people, for example, that we've talked about over the last couple of years, I think George Floyd being the exception, but I don't know his past record as much. You're talking about people who've been arrested multiple times, and they survived that. They weren't, they didn't get killed in the 3rd or 5th or even 7th time that they were arrested. And a lot of it has to do with resisting arrest or whatever. Statistically speaking, I don't know. People's numbers. People need to look at. Like I said, there's 1 billion interactions between police and civilians every year. A billion. There's somewhere around 2,000 people that are fired upon or fire upon the cops or have physical altercations. 14 somewhere between 14 and 25 are either unarmed. And that includes people, if you're trying to run over a cop with a car, you're considered unarmed. That kind of stuff. So it's not as big a spike as you think it is. It needs to be handled, but it is not the primary way people are dealt with all the time. It just isn't. The 420 guide, I don't know what that means. Yeah. 58,000 gun deaths across the USA in 18 months, according to the Gun Violence Archives. Yeah, that's the majority of which are suicides. 36,000 or so. The rest single altercations. Yes, running over someone with a vehicle is considered unarmed. Yeah. I'm not, this isn't police apologetics. This is just the material truth about it. If I was apologizing it, I would say that like the Chauvins of the world shouldn't be broomed from the police departments, which they should, and that they didn't like act outside the rules and the laws, which they should. You do know that the entire George Floyd situation was the responsibility of those 4 cops holding him, not just Chauvin. And the fact that his heart stopped while they were holding him. If these guys had simply done their job, and this is, I mean, again, this is like Trump. Like if he'd have been a whole different person, then he wouldn't have been the problem he was. That if they'd have simply turned him over and started trying to resuscitate him while waiting for the ambulance, all of that stuff would have stopped that year. Like like people would have recognized he was having an overdose and they would have treated him. The murder of him was less about just Chauvin kneeling on his neck and more about them denying medical care to someone who died while they were touching them. And I just don't believe for a second that these assholes didn't know that he died while they were on him. Like that was nonsense. And all they had to do was start treating him like a patient at that moment, and all of the horror that followed could have been avoided. But then they would have had to be totally different people. Yeah, we're Jan. I know the Louis DeJoy thing. They're finally through as well. That's gonna be great. The cop had it in for the start. Yeah, that Daryl. The idea that they worked together and that they had always had a beef or something. I mean, that's hard to read, and I also just don't. That reasoning seems to make it less about race and more about their own interpersonal relationship, unless Chauvin just didn't like him when they worked together before because of race. But I mean, I have a feeling that he just had total wanton disregard for his life because he was black. That's my feeling. But the COPS program, which Obama and Biden put in place when they were, when Obama was in office, was meant to broom out people like Chauvin, and Trump scuttled that program in 2017. That's right, Alfred. Yeah. No empathy or sympathy. It's gross. Yep. Yeah, it could be Sujan. It absolutely could be both. I mean, we won't know because he'll never cop to it. And even if he did, would he be telling the truth? Would he be just doing it so he could, hold back? So he could kind of like cover for himself or act like he's finally learned his lesson? Even then, right? Yeah, but Trump only hires the best people, right? I think Chauvin is both racist and hated Floyd. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think there was both. I think they overlapped. I think maybe that's why he never liked them in the start. But again, I can't know what's going on there. And I got news for you. but all of this could have been avoided if any of the other cops, not just Chauvin, had just simply done their job, had recognized, which they all, I believe, they all had to know he was dead. Al said, "Bro." I can't. Summer and my girlfriend and I were talking about this. But like, she can tell when I fall asleep next to her. If you share a bed with someone, you know when they've fallen asleep because their body relaxes in a way. Like, some of the tension just drops out of your body when you shift from awake to asleep as you're going to sleep, and you can tell. It is impossible for me to believe that those guys all touching his body, all four of them having themselves on him, couldn't feel that part of his body, couldn't feel him go. And this is, again, somebody who's done CPR multiple times on people. You can tell. You can tell when somebody lets go. And at that point, I don't know what the fuck you're still. Are you just on him because you don't treat him because you think the onlookers are going to attack you because, like, it's just gross. All this could have been avoided if Raising Pigs weren't filling the job slots. I suppose. I mean, you got the idea is that you should be able to get rid of them. You know it. I know it. I've taken CPR for years. Yes, Dargal, you can tell when their body gives way. Yes, you can tell when they come back. Right. Although it ebbs and flows. I was on Adam Ferrara's podcast. He's going to release it, and I talked about the incident at LAX where I did CPR on this guy, and he came and went twice while it was happening. He'd come back and I'd stop, and then he just went out again. Needs to be better screening and background checks. I agree. And you shouldn't be able to move from police department to police department if you've got those kind of strikes against you. I mean, there was a big movement, and we're seeing this is. I would argue that the rise in certain groups of racist cops throughout the country are strategic. They're not an accident. They're meant by these great day of the rope racist assholes to try to create civil strife and create division in society, create the very problems we're talking about because they know it doesn't take much to start driving up people to where there will be protests, and then those protests you can drive up into riots just by ill-treating them, and you'll be put on the same, group as a bunch of other cops who are standing there. You can actually continue to escalate from within where you are, right? After, they had a big problem with white supremacists joining the military after 9/11 and getting training. They started moving them out. Like, the Bush administration was secretly trying to broom these folks. And I said broom again. And as they did it, those guys moved into rural and southern city police departments because they didn't want to point out the fact that these guys had gotten kicked out because they were white supremacists. Because they didn't want to stir up any shit or draw any parallels between the issues in the Middle East and racists wanting to join this fight, making it a racist fight. So they just kind of swept it under the rug. Well, all those guys got, not honorary discharges or whatever. They just kind of got administrative discharges or whatever. Good cops are forced to protect bad cops if they want to stay alive. That happens a lot too. That's the person who's got your back. Slave patrol cops. That's not where it came from. I've heard that narrative a bunch too. The profession attracts a lot of ultra-aggressive, violent, bully-type personalities. No, it doesn't. It attracts some, and they're very egregious, and you see them personally, but there's a variety of police officers out there, and they're not that kind of person. A lot of them are just, they're looking for a way out of poverty in a lot of cases. They're looking for a way to have some authority in their life and have some worth in the community and yada, yada. Say hi to the next female cop you see, because you'll hear a story. Ask them. NYC PBA fights for the reinstatement of bad cops all the time. Yeah, that's because they believe in the concept that it's relative. ACAB until they police their own, no integrity. No. That's not how you start. That's arguing, if you're saying ACAB until they police their own, you're arguing for the exact same feeling from the police standpoint about if you're on the other side, if you're a civilian, we're going to assume you're a criminal all the time. And if you push back at all, I'm going to treat you like, a lifer. That's not how you operate. I'm sorry, I talk about these in terms of like a balanced view of this because I think in general, it's a lot more balanced than you want. And the bad people, the people who want this behavior to continue, they want you to think it's pervasive beyond them. They want it's that idea of like they're standing in front of your house with a megaphone saying that we've got the house surrounded and they're alone. And somebody in your house, somebody is saying, I wouldn't go out that window. I wouldn't go out the back door. I wouldn't go. You can hear them. Most of the bad ones don't make it to uniform. That's true. Oakland Rider, scandal, one bad cop fled the country, dirty 100 others, ruining the professional in the city. Right. There are dirty cops, but they're not lone wolves. They're generally in department with corrupt or lazy leadership. Or they just don't have enough cops for the amount of crime that they have. And so they make a call. I mean, look at the murder rate in Philly right now. I love Philadelphia. I mean, it's one of my favorite places to do stand-up. It's pretty awful. They've met last year's number already by May. For the whole year. They could double the number of murders in the city. And a lot of it has to do with their DA. Because he's under the impression that somehow that if you use a gun, if you don't pull the trigger, they should just let you go, drop the charge. Like, no. How did somebody with a gun become equivalent to a pickpocket? Somebody pickpocketing or shoplifting, I'm with you. There's an argument that you give that person a second chance or even a third chance in some cases. But if somebody's using a gun, it's just a tee-up. They're just getting closer and closer to their goal of actually pulling the trigger a lot of times. No, the implicit bias doesn't come from training. The implicit bias comes from mostly like whatever their biases are, they'll develop. If you work in Appalachia, if you work in West Virginia, you're going to have an implicit bias against hillbillies. It's whoever your problem group is. What's your opinion of Kensington drug addicts? I don't know that I know what you're referencing. Liberal Dan, leave the live stream and come back. Encoding errors happen. If using the app, you may have to log out and log back in. Okay. Body cams are slowly weeding out a lot of the sour apples. Absolutely, Mark. And that's going to become the norm, and increasingly it's very valuable. I mean, if you look at look at the police activity YouTube page, for example, a number of videos posted there by police stations over the last 2 years has exploded because of the amount of body cam footage. Multiple body cam footage, by the way, which I'm for. That helps immensely. There's some pushback against from defense attorneys and others about body cam footage that if it's admissible, it makes their client look bad if they fought with the cops or if how they were behaving, But I think most modern juries, and especially with, people with modern sensibilities, if the judge says, look, the person was intoxicated, just because they did this doesn't mean they did that. And people go, okay, that makes sense to me. Just because they were an asshole doesn't mean they did it. And just because they seem like they're being belligerent in this video, you can read into it if somehow see that butcher knife in their hand? That's the same one that was used in the killing, right? That's different. Why is CPAC meeting in Hungary? because of the baseline machismo, hyper-masculine bullshit of Hungary that's going on right now. Also, I wouldn't doubt that there's some sort of money laundering thing that's happening. You know, because Tucker Carlson did his little speech there as well. There's a lot of, like, they're looking for the next strongman. Here's the thing. These guys were all counting on Putin to be the strongman that funneled money to them. That's shit the bed. That's gone. That's not going to work. So now they've got to go find, another strongman to do it. And it's hard for them to find one that's white, if you want to talk about that part of it. It's CPAC loves the fascistic strongman guy, but they can't exactly go to Kim Jong-un. They can't exactly go to the Saudis. They can't exactly go to Xi Jinping. They need to find somebody who basically looks like, but for their accent, could be living in New York. Yeah. And, so basically all they're left with is Turkey and Hungary. Yeah. For real. That's all they got left. Yeah. Yes. All of the Republicans voted against the bill to help end the baby formula shortage. Yes. Who they get? John Cena? Yeah. So he can talk to them about 冰淇淋. 我最喜欢冰淇淋. I like ice cream. I very much like ice cream. There's a famous John Cena video where he's the one who apologized for calling Taiwan a country, which it is, to China because they didn't want to ruin the Fast and Furious franchise over there. When the money they made over there, they can't even fucking remove. They can't take it out of the country. It gets stuck there. Especially now. Do you see this thing about, hold on. Check this out. This is, check this out. China is cutting up people's passwords. What was it? 你看不见我. You can't see me? That's right. 你不可以见我. You don't have to say kan, by the way. You can say 你不见我. You don't see me. Like, you can also say 我不可以见我. There's a bunch of ways to say it. China's cutting up people's passports so they can't leave the country. Which is, by the way, a violation of the UN Charter. And China is a member of the UN and is on the Security Council, which I don't know how the fuck that happened, but whatever. Money by, yes, Mandarin, Treva. Maya Bird, that's awesome. You know Chinese. Oh, 谢谢. Yeah, so Hal flexing some language skills, right? But yeah, so China is cutting up people's passports, and seizing the green cards after the country's top immigration official restricted travel in order to reduce inbound COVID cases. That's not why. People they're having a brain drain, just like Russia. They're having a brain drain, just like Afghanistan had right as we were leaving. What was that again? Warsaw and General Tso. Yeah, they're stopping people from leaving the country, fleeing, essentially. Unverified reports emerged after China's National Immigration Administration announced a ban on non-essential foreign travel by Chinese citizens on May 12th. The new policy was on top of already tight measures that regulated inter-provincial travel in a bid to stem the spread of the virus. No, they just don't want you to leave and never come back, because that's what's happening. I mean, this is what I would call the Shanghai effect. You work with 2 Taiwanese ladies and your boss is Indian. That sounds like a great place to work. Can you tell John to stop obsessing about Cohen? I stopped watching the last 2 shows. He spent at least 15 minutes on it. Let it go. Cohen? You mean who? Which Cohen? I haven't watched it. Sorry. I'm going to be on John's show tomorrow, so I'll address it. Who can blame the Chinese people for wanting to get out? Anyone? No, exactly. Yeah, the irony, they're being shanghaied when they're from Shanghai. Oh God, you're sick of China, Russia, authoritarianism. What is going on? Jeff, here's the issue. And this is something that, as a fan of China and as somebody who was like 2 years ago was trying to pick my next language that I wanted to learn, and Russian was on the list. And I was like, oh, maybe Russian will be the next language that I learn. And fuck that. Like now I just have no, let's see, HAL, do a voter turnout tour, $5 a head. We want to celebrate voting. I agree. That sounds great. And I also think it'd be nice to do a show at, like with the Sexy Liberal Tour. We need to go out and start doing a get out the vote thing in a bunch of places. Like go to Atlanta, go to fucking Florida even. Go to places where that you don't normally go, but have a chance to push this. You're brushing my hair. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's lovely. It's a little frizzy, but I mean, I slept on it and then woke up this morning and ran out the door. Oh, you're from Korea? Annyeonghaseyo queso. That's all I know. Hamkamsamnida. Yeah. Anaseo. Like, I know some of my P's and Q's and stuff. Oh, it's Michael Cohen? I don't know what he has a problem with Michael Cohen about. I mean, again, you got to let people come around. I know it's hard. As awful as they are, and as 2 steps forward, 1 step back as it might be, but the minute somebody starts stepping towards the light and being a decent person, even if you don't agree with everything that they're saying, even if you have political disagreements about their ideology, if they're willing to recognize the baseline stuff, like everybody should have the right to vote, and we should never discourage the vote, and that people shouldn't act violently to overturn elections, baseline stuff like that, if they're willing to come out and say that, they get points in my book. It used to be that didn't need to be said, but in some cases you can get your ass kicked for saying that, and so they get points. Yeah. My hair looks like shit. Thanks. That's very sweet. You're adorable. I happen to think it looks lovely. Hal, do you have Native American ancestors? Yes. A split off tribe from the Cherokee that were not part of the Cherokee, were part of the Cherokee Nation, but broke off and didn't have their own language. The Kahitok. Yeah, Ukrainian. Yes, Ukrainian did come up on my list. And as a matter of fact, I started doing a search for like you learn Ukrainian YouTube videos. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Jay Chase. All Midwestern Southerners have some native as much as Liz Warren. Yeah, at least. Thank you, Central Scrutinizer. Apache and Arapaho. You guys got attacked by the Cherokee and the Navajo. You guys got it from both directions then. I'm a bit bedheady. That's fine. Okay, so we do share recent DNA. Absolutely. I got a little Chickasaw. All right. Ojibwa. There we go. Osage. Yeah, you guys, everybody who's got native that's brought up so far. I don't know what there are a couple of tribes that obviously didn't participate, but you guys all kept African slaves longer than the Civil War. Congratulations. Cherokee had African American and white slaves, so many, by the way, that they kept some of them there were actually African slaves taken on the Trail of Tears. People like natives starved along the route, and some people died of sickness, but they took their slaves with them rather than just their they all survived. Some family members didn't, but they got but their slaves got fed. You didn't know that? Yeah, it was 80. It wasn't until 1886, 88. Yeah. Yeah, if you walk the Trail of Tears, you brought, yeah, that's probably the mix, Kendra, then. Why don't I cover Tucker Show, take him down, help us do the same? I do occasionally, yeah. If you're 25% Cherokee or better, you get casino money. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty fascinating thing. You know, both the Cherokee, the Cherokee pledged allegiance to to King George, to England, against the colonies in 1735, around then, 1735, 1736. And they weren't nomadic. There was like 200,000 Cherokee in cities, these like little like mound cities that were walled in. They had walls even before that. They believed in walls and wheels. They didn't have wheels, I don't think. They had walls though. Yeah. Hal, when do you have time to read about all the things that you know? I just, over the course of my life, I just have a pretty good memory. Because I believe the easiest way to learn something is to fall in love with it. Fall in love with the information. That's because Brits treated the natives better? Not necessarily. There was no distinction at that point between the Brits and the colonists. They were the same. They were starting to break away, but they were the same people. There was no America at that point. Do I have any mechanical watches? I do. I actually have a couple. They're not anything, like one's kind of like a pop red plastic one that's supposed to be very expensive, but I got it as a gift a long time ago, and I've just had it in its little case because I usually just wear my Apple Watch. What Marsha Blackburn wild hair looks. Just saying for everyone, hey, Hal, that's true. That's true. She can't pull it off. Scottish, Irish, Cherokee, German, French. Yeah, that's a mix. That's what I would call American. Oh my gosh. Foggy, I hope it goes well. Be safe and healthy. I wish great things for you. Smile through the whole thing. Bye. I'm convinced you have a photographic memory. Pretty close, yes. Phones kind of made high-end watches a douchebag accessory. A little bit, yeah. Although, I mean, I get it. It's just jewelry. That's okay. But yeah, native tribes were allowed to keep their slaves for about 10 years after it was outlawed in the States. And then they brought it to an end. Mainly because Europe and like specifically England, France, and Spain at that point had outlawed the European slave trade and chattel slavery from Africa, especially that going to Latin America as well, and they wouldn't trade with them. And the Canadians, this before the country exists, the French Canadians were trading with the native tribes who were both using slaves in these regions, and then the British cut off all that and made the Canadians stop it. You had no idea Native Americans had slaves? Always. Yeah. Yeah, the end of slavery on Earth, in the form it had existed for all of humanity was basically the late 1800s. Cherokee wasn't large but well-known tribe. Many people claim to be Cherokee, but there are thousands of others. Yeah, well, that's the other thing too. Cherokee's one of the best known because they had a written language, because they traded with the English. It was kind of like they took it with them. Slavery's not it. No, not at all. I mean, it's obviously, but yeah. Damn, Hal, I didn't know any of this, and it doesn't make you happy at all. Yeah, it's true. Aren't most slaves just hostages? No. Hostages you hold in exchange for other stuff. Slaves you put to work. The majority of chattel slavery was seized people that were sold by other tribes, other groups. And again, you keep hearing Slava Ukraine, right? Everybody says that, about the Slavs. You keep hearing the Slavic people and the natives. The word slave comes from Slav, because all throughout Europe, it was Eastern Europeans that were sold into slavery for the longest time. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Jennifer, that's right. Most people were aware of their Cherokee heritage or the Cherokee tribes, or that Native Americans are all awash in the same group, which is also, in my estimation, a form of kind of pat racism. Because there are a multitude of tribes. All of them had different behavior sets, ideologies, belief systems. The Cherokee, in many ways, had a very matriarchal system, considering they had a chief, but the women had a say, and the young men would stand outside and like in a circle around the women as they spoke, so nobody could interrupt them. That lasted until they got guns from the Spanish, and then they moved to a war footing. You had a war chieftain. It was a white chief and a red chief. The red chief was the war chief. White chief was the peacetime chief, and he would run things. He was like the agricultural minister, the prime minister, the person who would just run things when there was no bad person or group to fight off. And the red chief would take over when it was like your secretary of defense. He would kind of run things, and a lot of tribes did that. But primarily, the most advanced tribe was thought to be the Cherokee, because they had, like I said, they had a written language, because they interacted with the Europeans. And that's why, by the way, everybody has a shred of it, because they weren't afraid of intermingling. Have you seen Traces of the Trade, the film by Katrina Brown? I have not, but I will look at it. Hold on, what was this? If Outlanders believe they stole white people and enslaved them also. Yeah, of course. Why would Native Americans have allegiance to King George, enemy of the enemy? No, trade. Stuff. The natives had, tobacco and corn and stuff that they grew all the time. They grew more than they needed. They were in agriculture. They weren't nomadic like the Western tribes. So they had farms and that kind of stuff. So they would sell it in exchange for gold and, all kinds of stuff. Just whatever tin work was really big. So pots and kettles and, that kind of stuff. If you look at those blue, if you grew up in Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana, those kind of areas, if you know the old-fashioned kind of Cracker Barrel, if you're ever in a Cracker Barrel, you'll see the cookware that they have kind of sitting around as artwork, as just kind of like props in the restaurant. You see these blue pots with white specks all over it. Okay, that came from a chain of pots and pans and stuff that were sold from, yes, I am, Mark, that are being sold, biding my time, more to come, from that they traded with the English. A lot of African tribes brought specific trades to the U.S. They were prized for certain skills. Yep, some were. Some were just, you know, and along the hostage thing, they were like a tribe would be at war with another tribe. They would take the males from that and then they would sell them to get rid of them. Rather than slaughter them, it was easier to get rid of them. So they would sell them to other tribes up north into Egypt or to the Dutch ultimately. Wasn't Geronimo a Cherokee? Yeah. Is Elon Republican? No, he's a troll. He's not ultra MAGA. None of that is true. Like, he's just a dick. The irony. Does anyone else find it ironic that... Remember that video? I don't know if you watched the afternoon show, but that a little while ago we did a show about Glenn Beck basically has this premise that Biden is intentionally raising the price of gas and oil to force everyone to get an electric car. Meanwhile, and this is a pervasive thought. He's not the first person to think this, that this is all a strategy to get us all to have to buy electric cars. Meanwhile, this, like, Glenn Beck's just upset he's got a low deli number to stand in line to gargle Elon Musk's balls. Like, he can't fillet that guy fast enough. It's so odd. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's Biden's big plan, but Elon Musk is your hero? What? He's a troll. Everything he does online is a troll. Everything that Elon Musk does on Twitter or social media is, yeah, it's troll. Yes, Crazy. I think Crazy Horse was Lakota. Yeah. Let's see, real quick. I want to see. Make sure I'm checking something real quick. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hold on. Oh, where'd my... There you go. Biden probably despises Musk. He knows he helped him get the money. Oh, totally. Yeah. There is no Tesla without the bailout from 2008. It just doesn't exist. And back. Hi, welcome back. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is the morning show. We're just kind of hanging out. It's cool. We jump back into. I just left this screen up the whole time. Sorry. And I'm not in a bathroom. I'm in the kitchenette area of the. Yeah. So I'm using what's sort of like a high kitchen table thing that they have in this comedy condo. Yes. Yes, Crazy Horse. By the way, Crazy Horse is one of my favorite Black Label Society songs. I frigging love that song. It's one of my favorite ones to listen to while riding my motorcycle. This is true. My hair is a bit frizzy. It's humid down here. What do you want? You get off the plane here and the whole place smells like fish because literally it smells like sea brine because the airport is on an inlet. Aren't comedy condos notoriously awful? Yeah. Yes. Yes, they are. This one's not half bad. It's okay. I'm not sleeping in the bed, though. I slept on the couch last night. Yeah, so like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show in any way you can. If you feel like it, if you don't feel like it, that's totally cool too, because that's how I operate. You can also, since we're here anyways, Cash App. It's a great way to support the show. I was pressured into creating a Cash App by some of the fans. Oh, thanks, Corey, who use that as their primary way of donating to things or whatever. So that's the way to do it. Looks very full. Are you wearing extensions? No, I am not wearing extensions. I have no extensions in. This is my real hair. It's really, yeah. It's, the layering of my hair is based on the short haircut I had a while back. It hasn't really been trimmed. This is just growing at its own pace, right? So it grows at different, levels. Well, there you go, Daryl. Ta-da. Did you read about the My Pillow frivolous lawsuit? Yes. Mike Lindell is getting fined for frivolous lawsuits around the election stuff by a Trump. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? A Trump-appointed judge. Let's see. Yeah, I saw it a couple of days ago, so it would take me a little while to find it. But yeah, so I'll bring it up this afternoon in the afternoon show, which we will have a regular show today. Oh, thank you, Marcia. Thank you for the super chat. Please check your Cash App from last night. Oh, I will. Okay. I have to, my phone's on the charger. I apologize. So I will check it. It's in the other room. It's on Raw Story? Okay. Let's see if I can. Mike Lindell. Where is he? Mike. Oh. Okay. It's a camera at the door. Hold on. Maybe I could search it. Let's see. Search. Lindell. There we go. Yeah, here it is. Hold on. Found it. So good. Just so good. Trump appointed judge orders sanctions against Mike Lindell for frivolous election lawsuit. It's the biggest crime of our century. Brought your staple gun, staple the bedspread and pillows to the wall, sound absorption. It's not a bad idea. I mean, I think I'm going to move this whole endeavor into there's a walk-in closet over here that's pretty small. It'll sound better. It'll be toasty, but it'll work. Why is baby formula in such a shortage? Okay, primarily because some of the ingredients, especially wheat-based stuff, come from Ukraine, even some cases from Russia, or from countries that buy cheaper stuff from Ukraine and Russia and sell their better stuff to the United States, namely Canada and Mexico. And there's been a shortage of farm hands, there's been a shortage of processing plant people, there's a shortage of workers overall, okay? And these are not highly automatable facilities. There's steps along the way that require people at each of these stages. So there's been a shortage of the materials needed for almost everything. There's a supply shock across the board in a lot of places. And baby formula has been hit like everything else. But it dropped it down to about 60% of capacity. Now, that said, America, like everything else, we overproduce like fucking crazy. So every grocery store everywhere, almost all the time, is always full of stuff that never gets bought. Like a good 25 to 30% of the food stocks in stores gets thrown out at a regular interval. But so we overcompensate. So even that drop, it didn't really affect anybody in a major way. Now, there are certain baby formulas. Let me get back to this. There are certain baby formulas that are for special needs infants, for newborns that have digestive issues, gas, lactose intolerance, a bunch of different issues. And they're in the United States, for whatever reason, they were all made at one plant, at the Sturgis, Michigan plant where the Enfamil stuff is made. That's why. And so that plant got shut down because there was an outbreak of Chronobacter and Salmonella. 4 kids were sickened and 2 died. 6 total. So all 6 were sickened, but 2 died. 4 were just sent, went to the hospital or the doctor that were seriously ill, required hospitalization, fluids, that kind of stuff. And all of them had formula from this Sturgis plant. And so the Sturgis plant, the Enfamil folks or whatever, it looks like they stonewalled the FDA for about 3 weeks, saying it's not us, da, da, da. Meanwhile, they were cleaning the facility like crazy to hide and disinfect the place, basically shut down production. Then they did what they called a voluntary recall. So look at it this way. They're in process. They're creating stock. They get a report that some of it might be exposed to this bacteria. So they shut down production. They kill the stock that's anything that hasn't gone out that's a couple of weeks old. That's before that, in the batch that they had a problem with. They destroy all that. And then by the time over the next 3 weeks or so, the stock that they have on has gone out and been sold and the place is empty, they do a voluntary recall. So they don't lose, the ability to release the stuff that wasn't part of the infected batch. And then they basically hide the fact that they shut down production by doing the voluntary recall at that time. Then it looks like they very well stonewalled the FDA to try and, clean the place top to bottom so that they wouldn't be culpable in the death of these kids. And it must be horrifying. I don't think they just did, again, just like the idea that everybody works at a fucking baby formula factory wants to hurt children is stupid, or just prioritizes profits over the death of kids. It's just a childish way of looking at it. Nobody wanted this, but a lot of them are like, fuck, if this little slip or what, even if it isn't related to us, could shut us down forever and destroy our brand and what to blah, blah, blah. So while that was going on, while the FDA was looking at them, they were cleaning this place top to bottom. The FDA went and looked at they took samples. They found no Chronobacter and Salmonella in the facility where they actually make the stuff, but they found it in the outer offices, meaning that basically the company scoured the factory top to fucking bottom to protect themselves, but didn't do the same to the outer offices, so you could find traces of it there. But they have yet to find the Chronobacter there that is genetically linked, the strain that is they found multiple strains there, but they found none that was linked to the one that killed the 2 children and made the others sick. So that's been the kind of butting heads between the company and the FDA about opening this factory back up. The reality is the factory itself, because they don't want to get sued and they're trying to take every precaution, and once they found it out, they started scouring the place to make sure it was clean, because that's what you would do. The factory is probably as clean as it has ever been. Yes, there is no shortage of premixed liquid formula. That is true, Doc in Paradise. There's also no shortage of regular formula. What there is, there's less available stock, but that, it's a bunch of preppers who bought up, trays of the shit. But the specialty formula, there are 5,000 kids in the United States that need this specialty formula or one variant of it or whatever. And a lot of those parents, when a shortage started happening because the kids have special dietary needs, bought up a lot of it and are sitting on it. And so the parents that didn't buy a lot of it and sit on it, which is about 1,000 parents, are having a hard time finding this specialty formula. That's where we are. Right. So, and my son, Camden, we had him on sensitive tummy stuff, basically just, in case at one point, because he was a little fussy for a time, but he didn't need it. If I had to shift back, it wouldn't have been against doctor's orders, right? So yeah, plus parents who think specialty is better for their specials. This is true. Alex Jones added iodine. Iodine. Yeah, so he would barf on you all the time, right? How many factories in the U.S.? There are 4 major companies. I want to say 6 facilities. Do hospitals have the specialty formula? Yes, but they don't keep a large stock of it. There's also, more than likely, at doctors' offices and places like that, there are enough sample packets, like a week's worth, in doctors' offices all over the place to get people through the next 6 weeks. Everything's coming back online. Does MTG know any of this? We have a limit of 2 in our store. No, she does not. Also, there's a difference between them limiting per, how much you can get per person who comes in, because some people will take advantage of the fact that there's a shortage of these things. This might surprise some folks. Buy up a bunch of it and then try to go, I can sell you some. It's like $50. And jack the price and sell it to moms online, which has been happening. This isn't the company padding profits. This is individuals buying up something they know is in short supply and artificially inflating the price. Yeah, and you'd rather have safe formula than, like, there's plenty of it, but it's like Russian roulette. Yeah. So the weird thing is that this is a private industry issue. The demand for this is very small. Any given time, there's about 5,000 kids in the country that are infants that will phase out of it, by the way. You only use it for a short time. None of us are still on formula. There's some people that have amino acid problems that use baby formula of a specific kind as adults that they consume as part of their diet because they've got, like immunological issues or all kinds of things and that is also fairly rare, and there isn't a adult version of that necessarily. There's not enough of them to warrant it, so they use baby formula, the specialty baby formula in lieu of it, and they also consume a much larger amount because they're adults than a baby making having a 6-ounce bottle, twice a day, or 3 times a day, depending on the kid. So this is that's where we are. It's not surprising at all. We don't have we don't get it from overseas. The biggest reason why, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday or the day before, they all run together. It shows like the information just stacks after a while. One of the reasons why we don't get baby food from other countries is not because of the actual quality of it. It's because of the fact that in shipping it, you have to be careful that it doesn't heat up and cool off and heat up and cool off and spoil while it's being shipped. And especially if it's for kids with special needs, for their special dietary needs. That's probably the singular reason. And then the other fear we noticed when we were looking it up was the worry that because people, they'll get it from another country and they don't speak the language, and so they won't read the instructions properly. That might have been a problem in 1950, but with fucking YouTube and Facebook, and Google Translate, you can translate shit with your phone. It's your baby. You're gonna go through those steps, for fuck's sake. Right? Yes, especially milk substances, especially, the ones that actually have milk in them, right? But even still, the other ones, because there's some chemicals that are in them that heating and cooling them will affect their quality and that kind of thing. So, right. Not every mother is capable of breastfeeding. Historically, infants who couldn't latch died. This is true. That's the other thing. When people are going, it's breast milk, just do breast milk, okay, that's not always an option. Especially stressed out young mothers that aren't producing, and not to mention ones pudding doom. There's all sorts of reasons why occasionally a child won't take their mother's milk on their own, much less how much she produces and those others. So. It's important that that's available for them, okay? And it's, by the way, there are 5,000 of these kids that need this. There are a bunch of kids that have those same digestive issues, but they were able to latch and they can take mother's milk. So they were able to either get past it, because a lot of times that's a transition as well. You don't need that specialty stuff the entire time. A lot of times as a parent, sometimes it's a phase they go through and then out of. Sometimes it's something they start with and then they can move to regular formula and you could try it. And that's how most children are who do use formula. There's variance in it, right? And a lot of people, especially if it's your first kid, a lot of people will be very persnickety about what formula they're going to give their kid. They're going to be like, oh God, I don't know. And by the third kid, they're like, we liquefied some lard here. Just here. I have it's Jamba Juice. Just fucking eat, right? But in the first one, a lot of times, emotionally, you don't know. It's very scary. Yeah. So, how do you know when to wean a baby? Bitten tittin', right? Mothers on medication can't nurse. That's another problem. Yeah, and there's a lot of women on medication these days. The overprescription issue, I suppose, would be an issue. I'm being asked to join a Democratic call because I'm on a mailing list. I was like, oh, that's nice. They're texting. Oh, I see. I thought they liked me, and they just... Private school in Michigan passed out a paper with different monkeys with Obama's picture. Yeah. Primates. They said primates. Right. Again, they were obviously being racist, but also, we're all primates. I'm a primate. Proud of it. So, Tucker started on mayo and was weaned on a pickle. I think it was he just sucked on a silver spoon his whole life, and that was it. That's why that's what the brow furrow, his brow butt crack is all about. Is that a scar in the middle of my forehead? No. That is simply the way the light catches the way the muscles in my forehead are. It's more exaggerated in the light than it is. I do have scars, but that's one's in my eyebrow, which isn't too bad, and then like on my temple. Are you on Truth Scrotum? Yes, I am. I am on Truth Scrotum now. Your niece breastfed 3 of her children until they were 3.5, and also donated her milk. Good Lord. I do have a muscular head. I can actually articulate every muscle in my entire face. It's super weird. It's a comedian thing. How much caffeine do I consume in a day? Not as much as I used to. I know I've heard that, the triangle in your forehead is too much caffeine or whatever. A lot of times it's just the a trick of the light. See, it's also how I furrow my brow. But watch, hold on. Years of doing faces. I can literally twitch the side of my either of my lips or individual muscles. So, do I have any Neanderthal in you? Is this going to be followed up with would you like some? I have less Neanderthal than 43% of people on 23andMe. According to my DNA thing. Thank you, lots of llamas. Let's see here. This guy right here. I need to put this in. Yeah, I'll do that later. Wiggle your... I am wiggling my ears. You have 2% Neanderthal. That's impressive. Yeah, stupid drama school tricks, totally. Carl, apparently there's a lot of 2% Neanderthals around. Did I piss off Voldemort? Yeah. It's a weird talent, I know. Makes me a good kisser, though, so that's good. How about a T, primate and proud? That's not a bad idea. Proud to be a primate, right? Can you see how much Neanderthal you have in your DNA? Crazy? Yes. Hold on. Now you're going to make me go get my phone off the charger. Let's see. 20. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Let's see. How much Neanderthal do I have? Ancestry report. There we go. Neanderthal ancestry report. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Hey, Hal. You have more Neanderthal in your DNA than 41% of other customers. I have less than 2%. Ah. That's not, yeah. See? You have less than 2% Neanderthal. Look at that. Right down the center. That's, yeah. Womp womp. You inherited a small amount of DNA from your Neanderthal ancestors. Out of 2,872 variants we tested, we found 271 variants in your DNA that trace back to Neanderthals. Altogether, Neanderthal ancestry accounts for less than 2% of your DNA. The ones that I do have, I have a variant associated with being more likely to sweat during a workout, less likely to blush easily when I'm not awash in red lights, I suppose, and being more likely to prefer dark chocolate over milk chocolate. Totally true. You have 0 variants associated with having difficulty discarding rarely used possessions. Yes, I can throw stuff out. I don't experience more itchy mosquito bites. There's a bunch of these. Less likely to have hitchhiker's thumb. I don't. That's super fun. Yep. Neanderthal. Yep. I love dark chocolate as well. All right, it's after 11. I'm gonna wrap up, and then I have to work on the show for later, so it's not as boomy and annoying when we do this. So I will let you guys go. Thank you for joining me for the morning show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Support the show. We have these great conversations. While you're at it, go look up. What did we talk about today? Native Americans and slavery. We talked about Neanderthal ancestry, which we all have, and I just have less of. But with this brow, you would think, no? I guess not. Womp womp. What else? Chinese passports being cut up. Yikes. And we need to know if there's, I'll look it up. I think there are 6 plants, 4 companies, 6 plants in the United States. There's other ones in North America, like in Mexico and in Canada, that make baby food. I've got to look up that. What else? The Lakota Sioux got their name because the Pawnee called them thieves. Did we talk about that? I think we did. No, we talked about Geronimo being a Sioux, right? Oh, I remember that the Cherokee pledged allegiance to King George within 20 years of the Revolutionary War. Bad timing, I think. Not as bad as Tecumseh's. Probably the worst timing in Native American history as it goes. But, yeah. Monkeypox has a 10% death rate. Yikes. Thanks. Leave it that. Yeah. How to wiggle your lips. We did that as well. Yes, have a great weekend, everybody. The rest of you, I will see later on today. And those of you that are coming to the show tonight, let me know. And I will see you guys very soon. Okay, take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. Oh, I got to start my music before I go because that's the thing. This is the only way we get out of here. All right, and Have fun. Okay, bye.